This week's Torah portion continues to detail the laws of sacrifices. We can't bring sacrifices nowadays because the temple isn't standing. But the rabbis tell us, actually, we can, because our prayers, our tefillos, take the place of and count as sacrifices. But 1 second. One of the laws regarding sacrifices is that before it was brought, the owner had to lean hands on the animal and think to himself, really, this should be me. Because I strayed because of my sins. It should be me feeling the blade against my neck. It should be my blood being offered. So how do we have that aspect of sacrifice when we pray? I heard a very interesting answer to that question. There's an old joke that if you want to start daydreaming, if you like to get distracted, just start praying. In moments, you'll be in a galaxy far, far away. There's a worse joke about the guy who's standing in front of his tefillin. They're half wrapped, and he stops and says to himself, wait a second, I don't remember. Did I just finish praying and I'm putting my tefillin away? Or did I not yet start praying and I'm about to put them on? That's a very bad sign. So why do we get so distracted when we pray? Because we think, mistakenly, that we are in control. And we like being in control. When you're in control, you have to be focused. If you're the football coach, you have to be paying attention to the game during the plays and in between the plays. But if you're not in control, if you're a fan out in the stadium, you're free to think about anything. Your next bathroom break, your next beer run, what you're going to buy from the kosher stand if you're lucky enough to have one in the stadium where your team plays. And we've all had encounters with people in control with a little bit of power that like to exercise it, that like to show you that they're boss, a flight attendant, a hotel check-in clerk, a parking lot attendant, a police officer. I remember once years ago, I was pulled over by a police officer on my way into Manhattan, about to go through the Lincoln Tunnel. I said, officer, what did I do wrong? He said, you were driving in the bus lane. I said, officer, the sign says buses only during rush hour. It's 6:30 in the morning and there's no traffic. This isn't rush hour. He said, as far as I'm concerned, it's rush hour. And he wrote me a ticket. I went to court, tried to convince the prosecutor to drop the charges. No, you're going to pay it or you're going to try your case. I said, you know what? Let's try the case. Police officer testified that I went through the bus lane. I cross-examined him, showed him a picture of the sign. I said, officer, could you kindly show the judge where on this sign are approaching motorists told when the regulation goes into effect? Now the judge got into the act, interrupted the police officer before he could answer, and said, Mr. Rothenberg, let me ask you a question. Who's better at interpreting signs, you or a police officer? I said, Your Honor, respectfully, if a traffic sign requires interpretation, there's a problem with that sign. A few weeks later, thankfully, I got a letter from the court throwing the case out. So we've all been in that experience. We all know that we like control. And when we get it, we don't like to give it up. So when we pray, and we have so much on our mind, what if we can say the following to God? I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about my boss and my colleagues and my employees, my customers, my clients. I'm worried about my home, my parents or my spouse, my kids. I'm worried about my health and the health of my loved ones. I have so much on my mind, but I realize after I do whatever I can do, the outcome isn't up to me. It's up to you because you're the boss. You're the king. And so I'm begging you, please help me. That will focus your prayers. And that will cause God's ears up in heaven to perk up, to say, it's so nice to hear from you. And it's so nice to hear that. Now let me roll up my sleeves and get to work on helping you.